So I was thinking a lot about this the other day with everything that's going on with the stock market, everything that's going on with the financial markets. And people are asking me, will money make you happy? And I took some notes, I did some thinking about it, and I did some talking. I'm actually today just sitting here in my girlfriend's backyard enjoying the sunshine instead of driving around in my car. And will money make you happy? And my feeling on it is money won't make you happy. But I will say this, if you're not financially literate and you're in a bad financial situation, because I hate using the word poor or broke, that's not a good situation to be in either. And so money's not going to solve all your problems. What I would say money does is it just tells people and shows people more of who you already were. So if you were rich and an asshole, then you were probably poor and an asshole too. And money doesn't change those things for people. Money doesn't, make things dramatically different for people. And so obviously, if you're in a situation where you're drowning in debt and you're stressed out about money and things on those lines, yeah, money will definitely take away some stress and some fear and some worry. But I don't necessarily think that money is going to make you happy. And so what I want to do is I want to break down kind of what my feelings are, the truth on money and happiness and what really matters as you start to make money. Because my whole feeling is the whole reason why you want to make more money or have more money, you have to figure out what that is for you. I know for me, it's that feeling of not having that stress and worry, but also having that ability to have financial freedom so that you can go kind of do the things that it is that you want to do. And so what I've done today is I've broken down kind of into 4 sections on money and happiness and my feelings on it. And we'll see what you think about it. I'd love to hear your comments or questions, what your feelings are on money and happiness as well. But the first one is why money alone won't make you happy. And so, for people that are ultra wealthy, I am not in that category. I'm not an ultra wealthy person, but I do better than most, is that they feel like once you get to a certain level of income, there's no exponential happiness. So I know, like for me, the first level of money was to just not have to worry about an emergency fund or paying my bills, or if I needed to get new tires on my car, or just get the basic necessity and essentials taken care of. And that's that, kind of feeling of stability and that you're getting somewhere. And then you're pretty happy with your money situation. But for people like, for example, again, I was listening to Scott Galloway and he's worth $100 million. And he says the difference between having 100 million or 200 million or 500 million, there isn't this exponential growth and happiness that starts to come. So you have to have a plan in place and figure out what is the level you're trying to get to and how can money help fund your life and your financial freedom. But happiness is an external thing. It comes from other places. And so having more things, more stuff sometimes equals more stress. I know people that have boats and campers and RVs and multiple cars and multiple homes and all kinds of gizmos and gadgets. And that doesn't necessarily help them be happier. It just all of a sudden stresses them out over the fact that they bought a lot of things to give themselves a lot more payments. They didn't pay cash for these things. And so because of that, they're not any happier than they were before. So you do tend to, when you start to have all these fancy things like flying in first class or being able to stay in fancy hotels, after a while, you just get used to that. That seems normal to you. And it isn't something that you get this exponential joy from. So again, I know for me, if I can travel and I can sit in a nicer seat and stay in a nicer place, that's great. But I was having just as much fun, just happy on my trips when I was staying in less nice places, sitting in a coach seat and maybe having to take a couple of connecting flights to get where it is where I wanted to be. So, there's just things you have to think about. Anxiety. I know a lot of times when you start to have money or have more things or drive a nicer car, people look at you differently. People think they want to borrow money from you. They just start to look at you and think about you differently. And so that is also another thing where just having more money isn't necessarily just going to be like, ooh, yay, I'm happy and that kind of thing. And so, just understand that sometimes money might not necessarily change the person making the money, but it changes the people around them. So for example, we were at dinner the other night and I was with some friends of mine who her brother created a company. I don't want to go in details about that because I don't want to out these people, but he now made a company that hit a home run and he's worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. But to get there, he had tried multiple things and failed multiple times on multiple companies. And because of that, he has zero relationship with his children. Now, I know for me, I would never want to not have a relationship with my kids. So the fact that I tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and failed multiple times before I hit an absolute home run and made hundreds of millions of dollars, I'd rather be in the financial situation that I'm in now, which is better than most, and still have that great, awesome relationship with my kids. So just know, that ever chase of more and more and more isn't always necessarily a better thing. It's like I said, putting a plan in place that funds your lifestyle and your happiness in order to get there. So let's go on to section 2. All right. So section 2 here is a little bit different. This is about like real costs of being and I hate the word broke, but that's what we're calling it. I just look at it as in a rough financial patch in your life. Maybe you're living paycheck to paycheck, and money and all that stuff is not exactly in the state you want to be. And so I'll be the first to tell you, like I said, in my late 30s, I got to a position in my life where I was broke. And being broke and having stress and fear over money, it is horrible. It sucks. It creates anxiety. It creates difficulty with your relationships. All the things that we just talked about by having a lot of money, you can have those with a lot of money, but there are a lot more stress and a lot more issues and concerns when you don't have money. And the biggest thing with not having money is it just limits your options. It limits your choices. It doesn't allow you to be able to do things on your own terms. So you have to learn and practice and figure out a way to have financial literacy. It steals time. Most people that are broke are basically working in careers where you're just trading your time for money. And again, if we can get your financial house in order, the goal would be able to figure out ways for your money to make money while you sleep, your investments to make money, and then not have that stress and worry about having all these debts. And again, what people don't really think about is being in a poverty-stricken, low-fund situation can be very, very expensive. So things like late fees, you get charged higher interest rates when you have bad credit. It traps people in a situation where you might even be using payday loans or just bad financial choices and financial options. So, the cost can be a lot more than just emotional and stress and dealing with your family and friends where they're just looking at you like, what is going on in their world? So just know there's a lot more costs involved than just worrying about that money and those kind of things. So I don't want to harp on this section too much. It's just one of the things where if you're in this situation now, we definitely want to figure out and make a plan in order to get you out of this situation as fast as possible. And again, you got to work hard at it. You got to figure out, hey, I'm sick and tired of being in this spot. And what am I going to do to actually get myself to the next level? So section 3 is really about what can money do for you. And I always say there's kind of 4 big things that drive me in my income earning and why I want to have the amount of money I would like to have. And the first one is freedom. So when I have financial freedom, then I can do what I want. If I want to work, I can work. If I don't want to work, I don't. I help my team. And again, we do real estate and we sell a lot of houses that way. But it gives you the ability to say no, to not have to work with certain people, to not have to do certain things. And it just, like I said, gives you that position of feeling that you can kind of do whatever you want. The next one, this is honestly my favorite of all of them, is security. So that I know that, again, if something goes wrong, I get a flat tire, something just happens in my life, I know that financially I'm covered and I can take care of those things nice and easily. It gives you options. So it gives you options for better food choices, better education choices, better lifestyle choices. It gives you better healthcare options. It just makes all the things available to you that you would hope that you would be able to have that are necessary in life. And you don't have to always have to go to the bare minimum plans on that. And then what it also does, and my favorite thing, I just read a book about this from Dan Martell, it allows you to buy back your time. So then you can use leverage for things. So for example, back in the day, I had to do my own landscaping and do my own house cleaning and do my own grocery shopping. And I don't have to do those things anymore. I can put other people in place to do that. And also by having team members be part of my business, it allows me to then get some of those lower dollar cost productive activities off my plate so that I can do the things that I'm good at and be able to help generate more revenues and income for not just me, but for everyone on our team and everyone that I'm involved with so that we can all start to win together in this business, in this operation that we're doing. So it's just those 4 things. And you don't actually need to be exponentially rich to do these things. You just need to create some margin for yourself so that you have a lot more money coming in than you have going out. And then it allows you that flexibility to be able to do more of the things you want and enjoy, not just in your life, but in your business and with your family and friends. So, it can do a lot of things for you, but those are the basic things. I think a lot of times people get caught up in thinking about the stuff and the actual, cars and boats and whatevers and vacations and jewelry. And that's great. But honestly, I don't really like a lot of that stuff. I know sometimes people see me and I have this fancy watch that's a Rolex, but honestly, it's my dad's watch. My dad passed away 15 years ago, and that's why I got this watch. And to be honest with you, I'd rather he was still here and still wearing it and I wouldn't have to. But it's funny because when I first started wearing it, people would say things to me. People would judge it because, ooh, look at you, you have a Rolex on. And really, at the end of the day, I got it in a way that I wish I wouldn't have, at least not for now. So again, it can do a lot of things for you. All right, so section 4, this is the last part of my 4 sections. I just think, what is the sweet spot that you're trying to get to with money? And it's not about just creating wealth. It's about creating or creating excess or just creating money just to have money falling all over themselves. And you see a lot of ultra wealthy people sometimes, I think, if you're already worth 100 billion or 500 billion, like how much money do you freaking need? And so there's always that game. I know for me, the number that I would like to get to, and the goal wasn't to become rich or wealthy or have a certain net worth. The goal was to get to a point where I was financially free, to be able to not have to stress and worry like we've been talking about in this video, and to create a life for me, my kids, my family, my coworkers, my business that supports what I want to be able to do and supports being able to be good to other people and good to myself and be able to, again, do the things that I want to be able to do. My kids will tell you this from the time we were very little. The cool part about having money is it allowed us to do things, invest in experiences, go places and do things we may not have been able to do, where a lot of people are just looking at possessions. If you came to my house, I don't really have a whole lot of possessions. I drive around in an almost 12, 13-year-old car. And I can remember things like that. At first, it used to be hard. I remember when my son graduated high school, we went on a trip to Alaska. And when we were there, we found out that you could literally take a helicopter, fly up to the top of a glacier, get on a sled and do Iditarod sled dog racing and running, and spend the day doing that. It was like a half-day thing. And at the time, it seemed pretty expensive to me. It was going to be like $2,500 for the four of us to go do it. And I was like, when am I ever going to get a chance to do this again? I didn't care. We went, we did it. And those are the kind of things that when I talk to my kids, they remember from their childhood, from their life, not any specific item that we gave them. It was always about the things we went and did together. And so, doing this, you want to be smart about it, build your wealth up intentionally. I always say, pull money off the top, do your investing and all that stuff, and then live on the rest. And if you're doing those things, then once in a while, when you go do something that maybe seems a little excessive or spend a little more money than you wanted to, it just works out great as far as feeling that you had the money to do it and it wasn't some excessive spending. It was just a smart thing. And then you're trying to find that balance between being appreciative and having gratitude for what you have now and planning for what you want to be able to do long-term later. So there's certain things I would love to be able to do that I haven't been able to do yet. And that's just a matter of building up my funds, building up my plan, and being able to do that. But I'm obviously greatly appreciative of what I've already had because, again, a lot of people would feel really good about being in the position that I'm in. So closing thoughts and all that kind of stuff. It's really just being thoughtful about what you're doing. And so money isn't going to make you happy. What it does is it allows you to be able to have the finances in place to then be able to hopefully find the things that do make you happy. And it's not about, all the fun stuff. It's really just putting yourself in that right position because being broke is tough. It puts you in a negative state of mind and that just kills your happiness. I know this. Being broke will definitely make you unhappy, but being wealthy just shows you more of kind of who you are, exposes the person you are. And hopefully one day you get to whatever your level of wealth that you're trying to get to is, you'll feel good about it, you'll feel smart about it, and you'll put yourself in a position to be financially independent and not just have money just to be able to consume. So if you're feeling stuck right now and you're not sure what to do me a favor. Follow the channel, start following the information we'll put out there. We're going to create a course on helping people get from financial illiteracy is what I call it, to a place where you understand how finances and money work, what basic plans you need to put in place. And like we've talked about many times before, at least I have with people, is the things we're trying to do to get financially free are not that complicated. They're not that difficult, and you can do them a lot more easily than you think. So at the time of shooting this video, don't let the crazy world, the crazy stock market, the crazy president, all the things that are going out there in the world economically scare you from putting your plan not in place. Because you can do all these things and it is not as hard as you think. I always say it's not as complicated as you think. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. And again, we will figure out ways to have money help you be happy, but money is not what makes you happy.